Welcome back, everybody. Our next presenter is a retired lawyer who practiced corporate law for over 30 years with two blue chip law firms until he retired in 2008. Since then, he has published 4 books in the spiritual metaphysical genre: Dancing on a Stamp, Dancing Forever with Spirit, Dance of Heavenly Bliss, and Dance of Eternal Rapture, which recount his dialogue and astral travels with his spirit guide, Albert, who confronted him on the street one day disguised as a homeless man. After the release of his first book, he's been active with book signing tours, speaking engagements, and has been interviewed on over 150 radio stations around the world. In addition, he is a level 2 quantum healing hypnosis technique practitioner, a modality that guides clients to experience past lives and connect with their higher selves. He will recount some of his astral trips with his spirit guide. He, including an encounter with a race of super intelligent spider-like creatures who organize the seeding of life on Earth, a visit to an ET spacecraft orbiting our planet, the building of Stonehenge by a giant human from the Andromeda constellation, a trip to a planet with an advanced human civilization that had no toxic emotions. I wish we could vacation there right now. A meeting with a blue alien who lived among humans on our planet, and a rendezvous with Earth in a parallel universe where quirks in its history resulted in much less racial and religious conflicts. So please join me in welcoming Garnet Schulhauser.
So good morning, everyone. As Forrest mentioned to me, or mentioned to you rather, I am the author of 4 books in the spiritual metaphysical genre: Dancing on a Stamp, Dancing Forever with Spirit, Dance of Heavenly Bliss, and Dance of Eternal Rapture. And all of my books deal with my dialogue and astral travels with my spirit guide, Albert. Now, on many of my astral trips, as you will find out further on in my presentation, I encountered several advanced ET races and advanced human civilizations on different planets, which are really quite fascinating, and I'll share some of those with you today. Today I will talk about my encounters with 2 super intelligent non-human races, the truth about the 1947 Roswell crash, a meeting with a blue alien living on Earth disguised as a human, a trip to an advanced human civilization governed solely by women, startling revelations about the new Earth and how to make the ascension, and fascinating information about Earth in a parallel universe. But before I get into the details of my astral travels, I'd like to share a few details of my background and to tell you a bit about how I got to where I am now. I was born and raised in Saskatchewan in a very strict Roman Catholic family. After I graduated from law school, I practiced corporate law in Calgary for 34 years until I retired in 2008. Eventually, as I grew older, I rejected many of the beliefs of the Catholic Church, and I began searching for a new paradigm to latch onto. And I asked myself over and over the eternal questions of life. Who am I? Why am I here? What happens when I die? And is there life elsewhere in the universe? And then one fateful day in 2007, my answers were all came to me from a homeless man that accosted me on the street one day. It happened when I was still practicing law. I was walking down the street one sunny afternoon in May when suddenly a homeless man jumped out of the shadows and stopped me in my tracks. And he looked like a typical homeless man. He had long, stringy hair, scraggly beard, and dirty slept-in clothes. But I didn't walk around him as I typically would do when I met homeless people on the street, because he had these amazing, dazzling blue eyes that sparkled like 2 little blue stars. His gaze seemed to penetrate deep within me, right to the depths of my soul. And at the same time, his gaze was sending me this wave of pure, unconditional love that was infusing my whole body with an amazing sense of peace and security. I was like a deer caught in the headlights. I was in a time warp. I had no idea how long I stood there. And finally, this man broke the spell by saying, "Why are you here?" Then he promptly disappeared into a nearby store. But when I finally snapped out of my reverie and collected my wits, I went into the store to try to find this man, but he was nowhere to be seen. So I walked outside and I searched on the street up and down for maybe 15 or 20 minutes, hoping to spot him, but he had seemingly disappeared into thin air. Well, the next day I came back to the same street, this very same time of day, hoping to spot this homeless man. And after searching without any luck for several minutes, I finally spotted him sitting all alone on a bench. When I asked him who he was and why he had stopped me, he said he was a soul just like me, and he had come to answer my questions and help me on my journey. And that was the beginning of a dialogue I had with him that went off and on for several months. I found out his name was Albert, and he was actually one of my spirit guides in disguise. Albert proved to be a wise and compassionate spirit who had a great sense of humor. He told me early on that he had chosen me to be one of his messengers and that he wanted me to write a book about his revelations so they would be available to everyone.